Catherine started a new job in March. Direct supervisor quit in June. I inherited all of her projects, more responsibilities, working long hours to keep up with the workload. I want a raise. How do I ask? You know what, Catherine? I wouldn't overthink this. I think you just take that chat there and you verbalize it to him. Say, hey, look, you know what? I've been doing these responsibilities for my boss for what, like 3 months, give or take, maybe, right? For 3 months, which I'm happy to do and thrilled to get the opportunity to learn. I'd like to know if this will continue. So one of the things that you want to do is you never want to go to them and say, I'm doing this job, I want a raise. If they say, Catherine, this is temporary, we just hired somebody, you're going back to your normal responsibilities, right? In any negotiation, if you really think about all the direction that I give you, it's always about asking all the questions first to make sure you have no unanswered or inaccurate assumptions. So you want to say, okay, look, so first off, when they gave me these responsibilities, now you may have asked them this already, but let's go Andy time machine, we're going back. Going back to the beginning, we're going back to June. Supervisor quits. They say, Catherine the Great, you're in. Wonderful. Hey, I just wanted an idea. Is this something you want me to take on temporarily? Do we have a plan to replenish, backfill, use whatever term you want, my boss? Or is there an opportunity for me to prove myself? I would have went through all that right then, instantly. Okay, so let's say you know that or you don't. Either way, so now it's 3 months later. Go back to them and say, now, if you know and they told you that, now you want to confirm that. So is it still our plan that you are looking for somebody, or have I done enough to prove myself that you might blah, 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 want to move me into this? So you got to reconfirm. If you had a direction, you need to reconfirm the direction before you ask for the raise. If you didn't confirm initially, it's okay. What's done is done. You go to them now and say, hey, look, I've really been thrilled to have the opportunity to do all these extra things. And while it is more work, I'm getting this great opportunity to learn all these things, blah, blah, blah. And I've developed these skills. I want to know, is our plan to stick with this format where I'm going to continue to do this? Stop. Let them tell you. If they say, Catherine, Ginger's telling you, hey, go with that. So, okay, we're going to do that. Great. If we do that, would you consider adjusting my compensation based on these new sets of responsibilities? Question. Stop. Right? That's what you want to do. And then, okay, Catherine, we have no intention of doing that. Now you make your argument. Okay, but when you hired me and you paid me the salary that's $80,000, the assumption was these are the things I'm doing. And while I genuinely appreciate all these additional responsibilities, but if I'm going to continue to do this, there's a tremendous amount more value, not to mention I'm working a lot more hours. So I just want to make sure that I'm being paid fairly with my contribution. If you're not going to do that right now, is there a time throughout the year where I'll be given the opportunity to get promoted? If so, when will that be? So is it, at the end of the year? Is it December? Is it next, March? What is it? So you want to have that dialogue. And it doesn't need to be overly aggressive. These are very fair questions. Now, it's 3 months, 12 weeks. Okay, so that you're talking about, if you got 12 weeks, you got 60 days that you've been doing this job, right? 5 days a week, give or take. It's not a really long time. So they could just be seeing how it goes, evaluating it, and maybe they are going to give you a raise. Maybe there is a protocol in place, or maybe there is a couple times throughout the year where they do reviews or whatever. But that's how I would bring that up, and I would ask questions before I make a request. So that's how I would handle that. And that's basically how I would handle any salary negotiation, by asking questions. Actually, I'm wondering if I want to, I'm going to give you a little something extra here. Okay. So I don't know that I've ever said this way to this group. Meaning, I don't know that I've ever said, I've not said this publicly anywhere about when I think about negotiating pay raises internally. And I've given you kind of snippets of how I think conceptually about salary negotiation and different tactics and techniques. But you need to think about stuff in five pieces. All right. So there's the primer whenever you're discussing something with somebody like this. Let's just assume this is salary talk. But, I want to make this work, and I believe that we will based on what I've seen and so on. So let's say you're getting your promotion, your number, your salary, your new job offer, whatever. There's a primer that puts them in a welcoming position. And if you are wondering why primer's a proper term, and priming somebody in a discussion moves their emotional state to where you want it, which is, in this case, in an open and welcoming view. You don't want them defensive, and you want them to open up the kimono, so to speak, right? So, okay, so I want to make this work. I'm sure we will, all that good stuff. So you don't have anything to worry about, right? The second thing is you want to acknowledge that you understand their viewpoint. So in your case, Catherine, now what you're doing, naturally, this is not an affront on you. Your reaction as a human is, I'm doing more, and we've never, none of us, had an experience that we were not at the absolute center of, right? Meaning the world in our experiences, especially in these experiences, is revolving around us. And the world that's revolving around you, Catherine, is I'm doing more work and I'm not getting paid more. Now, I want you to take yourself out of the equation for a second and now put yourself in their shoes. I'm in a lurch, man. Catherine's boss just left. What am I going to do? What's my best course of action right now? And what's my best course of action long term? And so on. And so if you intercepted your thoughts for a second and you think about them and acknowledge it and say, you know what, I can't imagine how difficult it is to immediately lose somebody, especially after I just started, and especially it being a surprise. I feel for you, right? I understand your viewpoint. You're acknowledging they want to do this as smartly and as economically. And I don't know the backdrop of why that person left, but maybe they made a mistake and they're nervous, and maybe they don't want to hire somebody right away. Maybe they do want to give you an opportunity. Maybe this is the safer route. I could tell you as an employer and as a recruiter, having the wrong person in the job is way worse than having no person in the job. It's true. Okay, so now you want to say to them, part two, I know how you feel. I get it. I understand. I've looked at this from your standpoint, and I can only imagine how frustrating that is. Okay? Third part is go to your value. But I'm doing a lot of stuff. Now you make the value argument. I'm doing this. Here's what it means. I'm doing this. Here's what it means. You're only paying me $80,000. This is a $100,000 job. Right? So what's the plan here? Right? So that's the third part. And then the fourth part is, I'm doing this job. I'm doing like 2 jobs. My job, 80. This job, 100. That's 180. Could you imagine if I wasn't here, how much money you would have to pay for these 2 jobs? Okay, now it's not 80, it's 180, right? So now that's what's called a juxtaposition. So you're getting them to look at it differently. Now it's like, oh my God, right? That puts it in perspective. Like when I say my leadership program is only 81 cents a day, because it is. What do you pay for that coffee? Right? That coffee, that latte, buy you 10 days in my program. Right? That's totally, you don't think that way. All right, but now it's like, holy smokes, I'm getting $180,000 worth of what cost / value for only $100 if I give her 20 more, and she'd be happy and I'd be happy. kind of thing, right? Like, so you got to go through these evolutions, and then of course, you know, then you could go, depending on your situation, into the, well, you know, I'll do this, and you can keep looking for somebody else. And then what you do is you go into the fifth section of this is go ahead and look, go ahead and try, go ahead and find somebody else, go ahead and, right? And then when they do that, standing still, you look better. Meaning, dang, well, Catherine's already up to speed on all this stuff. Why would I want to hire this person? I mean, this is like a crapshoot, right? 5 pieces right there. Those are considerations when you get in a situation like this. By the way, I am going super deep in November. I know that's a couple of months out. In my leadership training, and we're going to be talking about negotiating pay raises. So we're going to go really deep on these on these kinds of lessons. So it's you know, if it's something that you want to consider, it's a great time to be doing that. But Catherine, these are I'm always trying to give you guys different ways of looking at it, so something clicks or something registers, or you find that tactic that works for you or your situation. So I know I really went on there, but that's a pretty good way of looking at it. So I hope that helps you, and I hope everybody benefited from that, because you all should be negotiating like crazy right now. I mean, employers are. I just got an email like a few hours ago from somebody in my boot camp who's got. I got to reply back to him now, but it, you know, just a huge raise because of what he did, and this is happening day in and day out, not just week in and week out.